In this video, we're going to look at some of the recent updates to VS Code. Even though this latest update was only a housekeeping update, there are a lot of great improvements. They fixed over 5,000 issues. If you want to learn more about VS Code, check out my VS Code course at vscodehero.com. The link is in the description below. If you find this video helpful, like and subscribe. Really quick before we get into it, this video is sponsored by HarperDB. HarperDB is a distributed database written in Node.js, built for developers of any skill level. It has an easy-to-use REST API, supports NoSQL and SQL including joins, and leverages standard interfaces. The Management Studio is a super intuitive user interface, enabling you to manage your databases without writing a line of code, fully equipped with resources like SDKs, example code, and drivers. HarperDB Cloud, which is their database as a service, has a free forever tier, or use the promo code CODESTACKER to get $250 in credits toward any instance size using the link in the description below. Give HarperDB a try today. The first thing that we're going to look at is word wrap in the diff editor. So before this update, if we opened up this diff editor, we would see this scrolling bar just like this. But now we can turn word wrap on. So Alt-Z, turning word wrap on. It turns on word wrap for the document as well as the diff editor. No more scrolling left to right to see the changes. By default, it will inherit the word wrap settings from the editor. If you always want word wrap on or off, you can set that in your settings, and we'll just search for diff editor word wrap. And by default, it's inherit, so it will inherit the settings from the editor, or we can have it always be on or always off. Extensions are awesome in VS Code. Without them, VS Code just wouldn't be the same. But sometimes you may have an extension that is causing an issue. It can be very difficult to troubleshoot which extension is the culprit. Until now, there's a new feature of VS Code called extension bisect. It uses the binary search algorithm to quickly identify which extension is causing issues. The way that this works is it will disable half of your extensions and then ask you to check to see if the issue is still there. If the issue is gone, then it will repeat the process by enabling extensions until only a single extension is left. You can start the process by opening the command palette and searching for help start extension bisect. So now we'll click start extension bisect. So it has disabled 28 extensions. And now it's asking me to check to see if I can reproduce the problem. Depending on how I answer this, it will continue the process, and when the process is complete, you'll be asked to file an issue against the extension in order to report the issue. You can now choose how your open editors get sorted. So I have 4 open editors here. We can do this by going to the settings and then search for Explorer, Open Editors, Sort Order. By default, it's set to editor order, which is the same order that the tabs are shown in. We could also set it to alphabetical. Now you'll notice that they have rearranged into alphabetical order. But this setting only applies to the open editor's view, and it will not affect your editor tab order in any way. This will be helpful, for instance, if we have footer.js and footer.module.css and we want them to be close to each other. This might make more sense. I'm going to leave mine set to alphabetical. If you find yourself using a command from the command palette frequently, you may want to assign a keyboard shortcut to it. You can now do this very easily. We open up the command palette. You see that I use CodeSnap quite often. We can configure a keyboard shortcut by clicking the Configure Key Binding Gear button to the right. Now we can easily add a keyboard shortcut. Another great improvement is the undo file operations in Explorer. The File Explorer now supports undo and redo for all file operations, such as delete, rename, copy, move, new file, and new folder. So now if you accidentally delete something, we can just hit Ctrl-Z and get it back. Note that there are separate undo stacks for the editor versus the File Explorer, so be sure that your focus is in the correct section before undoing. We can now customize the border color for sashes on hover. You may think that this is a very trivial update, but sometimes it's hard to tell where the draggable borders are. So now if I hover over this border, you'll see the color pop up, and we know that we can drag this, as well as down here, we could drag up the terminal. As you can see here, I've implemented this into my CodeStacker theme. So if you already have it installed, be sure to update it. If not, please check it out. The link is in the description below. There are several new git commands that have been added to the command palette. If we open the command palette, we could type git, and we can see there is a cherry pick. This will allow you to pick a specific commit to your branch. Then there's git rename. This allows you to perform a git rename of the active file. Then there's push tags. This will push all local tags to the remote. And then there's checkout to detached. This performs a checkout in detached mode. VS Code already supports basic word-based suggestions, but with this update, VS Code can now suggest words from other open files. You can configure this in the settings under Editor Word-Based Suggestions mode. By default, it's set to Matching Documents. This will suggest words from open files of the same language. We could also choose All Documents. This will suggest words from all open documents. Or we could select Current Document, which will only suggest words from the current file. You can also now easily modify your terminal settings by selecting Configure Terminal Settings in the Terminal drop-down menu. So this is just a quick way to get to the terminal settings. Those are all of the updates that I wanted to highlight, and that will be the last update for 2020. We'll see another VS Code update in January of 2021. Be sure to check out my VS Code Superhero course at vscodehero.com to learn more about VS Code. That's going to be it for this video. Like this video to help me out and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this.